Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am AA Ron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guests are Kelly and Avery. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
We're excited to be here and chat.
Absolutely. Why don't you, I don't care who starts first, why don't you just guys introduce yourselves?
Sure. I can go. I'm Kelly Berger. I live in Ohio, and I am a rare disease and disability advocate. I live with a rare form of congenital muscular dystrophy, and I am a power wheelchair user.
I'm Avery Roberts. I live in New York. I also live with an ultra rare form of congenital muscular dystrophy. Um, and yeah, a disability and rare disease advocate.
Thank you so much. Can one of you I think I know I've heard the answer to this before, but what qualifies something as being a rare disease?
You ready to go? Avery?
So I don't know the exact numbers, but there's a certain threshold that cla uh, makes a disease qualify as a rare disease and put it in that uh, classification.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know Kendra. I can't pronounce her last name. She's from South Dakota, but she also has a rare disease and has a organization Rare by Design and has a film festival and stuff in South
Yeah,
Dakota. So I had her on, and I asked her the same question. I can't remember the answer. So
it might be like 200K.
I'm sure that sounds, yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds about right. 1 in 200,000. We'll go with that
something like that.
ballpark
yeah.
number.
Awesome. Cool, cool. Why don't I'll ask each of you guys this, Kelly, if you want to go first, but what is your definition of inclusion if you had to define it?
Inclusion for me is uh, not seeing disability at all, like it's normalized, that we're not segregated. There's universal design, access is equal. Yeah, where disabilities isn't a thing. It's just part of society in general. And um, yeah, that's what inclusion means to me.
Avery, do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I love that question. I do a lot of exploring of disability inclusion and disability inclusion done right and what that means, just 'cause I think everyone has a different interpretation of it. Um, I think to me, so often society puts the disability community in a predefined box. And so I think to me, disability inclusion is meeting me and all of us beyond that box, and kind of breaking down those walls and going beyond kind of the predefined box that society puts us in.
Yeah, thank you for that, guys. Okay, so I have a daughter, Cecilia. She's 20, okay, 22. Yeah, she's 22. She is also a power wheelchair user, so I'm familiar with, she just got a new Permobile late last year, so this one's got the fancy lights on it that change colors, and
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm jealous.
she's pretty excited about that. She's like wants to show everybody how she can go into the app and like change it to different colors.
Yeah,
So
I love
it's
it.
pretty,
You can do that? Oh,
I have
yeah,
a permeable chair, and Kelly does it, and so it's, like, so funny, the difference, but, like, I completely get it. Like, let her show it off, I love it.
mhm. Yeah. You can change it. They're LED, so you can change them like any of the color in like the color palette or whatever, and then
Yeah.
has the blinkers and the flashers. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know where they test them, but I don't know if you guys have run into this, but they do not work well in snow. Like they don't make those things to go through snow very well.
You mean the
yeah,
chair? Yeah.
The chair, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you need all different types of chairs for every terrain, and it's like, we can't make one that does everything, like, come on.
Yeah, the tires, it seems like the colder it is, like the harder the like tire gets, and it just doesn't grip. It's
It
just
just
spinning so
spins.
fast that
Yeah,
yeah, it just doesn't go anywhere. It's like, okay, guys, we live in Minnesota. We need a tire that can handle the snow. We need to put snow tires on or something.
right, for
Yeah.
sure, yeah. Oh,
So I mean, my daughter, our experience was I didn't know anything about like, inclusion or before she was born. I didn't even honestly know about disability related stuff. So we sent her to a segregated classroom early on and then found out there were folding towels in that classroom and like, hold on a second, this doesn't seem right. So found out about inclusion, worked hard to get her, as fully included as possible throughout her school year. I mean, how was like school for you guys growing up? And I'm assuming you guys had IEPs or maybe talk a little bit about that for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think basically what you said, they always try to segregate and put you in special classes that you may not need or your needs may not. Obviously, needs vary person to person, but for me, I'm a very intelligent individual and I wanted to be with everyone else. I made it a point to be vocal about that, that I wanted to stay in regular classes and I wanted the challenge. I wanted to, participate just like everybody else. I did have an IEP. Um, Basically just said that, like, I get around slower, I need extra help, I can't lift heavy things, so I would get, like, digital copies of books and different stuff like that that would, make it easier, and then extra time for test, because writing or typing can be, difficult for long periods of time, so it was just basically, outlining my needs and, but yeah, I would say I tried to stick with my classmates and keep up, and it's definitely a challenge with all the extra daily things that we need. That's something that I wanted. I didn't want to be treated different or in a separate room or any of those things. So
Thanks for sharing. Avery, how about you?
Yeah, I also had an IEP. I think, like Kelly, I didn't want to be treated differently, but also wanted to go beyond what, the district and what people thought I could do. And so, be in the honors classes, be in the advanced classes, do really well in school, not just because I am really intelligent, but also because I wanted to prove it, prove what I could do and what the disability community can do, and that I did not need to be treated differently. I think especially in elementary school, I was in a private Montessori school, and that was kind of before and around the time of my diagnosis. And so I really needed to like have that individualized attention as we were kind of figuring out what my needs were. And then at the time that was like really what I needed. But I think kind of as I got older, like you said, I, you know, didn't need the folding of the towels and the, counting all the beads and rolling the rug and just stuff like that. And so, I think it's that realization too. But I think so often we're just kind of told like, you're not worthy and you're not going to be able to go to school, to be independent, to live independently, to, you know, find love, to do any of that stuff. And so I think so often it's kind of the drive to prove all that wrong, because we can do it and we can, live a very full and fruitful life and thrive as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Um, so how about you guys? Have you always been included, or have you found like most of your where you've grown up like has been including, or have you run into people that kind of don't want to include you?
yeah, I know that's still happening today, right? So I live kind of more rural suburban area, so I'm not really. I mean, close to the city, but not really. So growing up, I was the girl in a wheelchair, the solo, physically different person, and so I was that. That's what I was known for. That's what people, "Oh, yeah, Kelly, that's, girl in a wheelchair," whatever. So, yeah, I did feel like I really had to make it a point to state my needs and to state what I needed. I think people tried to include me, but it was more, not always done in the right way. Uh, but yeah, I think that, just being the solo person also out in the community too, that they're just not exposed to someone who's physically, um, has that. And so they just don't know. So yeah, I feel like community also just, the staring, the sometimes pointing, the rude comments, all those things, it gets tiring to constantly educate and inform people of how to act around those with disabilities. But it's just something that because of my location and because I was, that only person around to do it, and that's kind of the role that I had to take on. And I still do. To this day, I feel like it's getting better, but we're still not there. But yeah, that's kind of what my experiences have been so far.
Like, how big a town did you grow up in?
Um, so at my high school, there was like 150, 200 people. But I was like we had multiple floors, and I was like the only person that was in a wheelchair that needed like the elevator key, and so people would like be friends with me just because I had that privilege, and just like things like that. That looking back, I'm like, didn't really realize it at the time, but I'm like, "Oh, that's really how was it okay? Why did I allow that?" You know? Um, but yeah, it was just one of those days of just being the only person, like kinda that's just what it was, so
Yeah, I mean, the town we live in is like around 25,000, but I mean, I can think of maybe 5 to 10 people that I can think of just right now that use like a wheelchair or power chair in their everyday life. So it's even in that size of a community. I mean, there's not a lot of people using wheelchairs, so you do kind of stick out or whatever you want to say. I mean, some of the weird stuff I had said to me is like, it's so nice that you take your daughter like to the fair and to the mall. Is like, that's weird. Like, I take my son out. You're not cheering me on because, I'm taking my son out. So why, just because my daughter's in a wheelchair, are you congratulating me for taking her out of the house? So I don't know if you guys have run into stuff like that too or not.
but yeah, absolutely, like, "Oh, we're so good to see you out," and it's like, am I supposed to be hidden in a closet or a basement somewhere, like, just, a sheltered life? I think people were just surprised to still see us, and that to me is even more, like, shocking and alarming, like, where are we supposed to be? We're just supposed to be, these hidden members of society that nobody wants to acknowledge or really associate with, and yeah, that's still super problematic for sure.
But how about you growing up? How were you included or how was it for you?
Think uh growing up it was a lot of just learning how to navigate it. Like figuring out like what was wrong because there was a lot wrong and then also like what we just kind of had to deal with. And I think kind of like Kelly said, looking back it's like wow, why did I let that go, and so it's just so funny how you can do that. I mean, I fought for a ramp in my high school, like not just because of safety but also just because it was the right thing to do, not only for me at the time, but also those who came after me, and so I fought for a ramp in my high school. I think a lot of self-advocacy. I think also growing up, it was me just kinda learning how there is different forms of inclusion, and it kinda gets applied to a bunch of different aspects. So, like, language and, like, the way people communicated, like, that really affected me. Like, I still am called the wheelchair. Like, some people don't even bother to learn our names, and so it, like, showed me, like, okay, that's a form of inclusion. But also how there's kinda, like, different stages, like the listening stage, but then also, like, the action and how we need to get to the action stage and how we, need people to also be okay to unlearn some of the misconceptions that they've, you know, taken on because there are some definitely real ones rooted in our history in terms of disability. And so I feel like it was just kind of learning how far we've come, but also how far we have to go and kind of honoring that. Um, and how it kinda gets applied to our lives. But looking back now, also just I'm so lucky to have had a support system and still have a support system that fought for me, but also encouraged me to stand up for myself and to self-advocate. That's a huge thing when you're living with a disability and growing up, and, um just finding your people and your village who are, going to be willing to stand up for you, but also help you navigate those situations. Um, and, be there for you to vent. I still come to Kelly, like, I can't believe this just happened. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what we're doing in 2026. And so, um, yeah, I think even just the smallest things, um, show how much of a lack of inclusion there is sometimes.
But it is interesting. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I live in Minnesota, so every time it snows, you see where they plow the snow and how people don't clear
Mhm.
sidewalks, and it's like, I mean, I can step over it, but my daughter in her power wheelchair, I mean, unless that sidewalk is cleared of all the snow and it's down to the cement, she's not getting anywhere. I mean, so these things that seem not
Common
super important,
sense.
it can sit there for a day or two. Well, then certain people can't get out and move around unless we do that. So it's just, these little things that you come across somebody, they pull in their driveway, they don't go all the way in, so their car's blocking the sidewalk. So it's like my daughter and I go for a walk. Well, now we either got to back up, go to the last driveway, go out on the street. These things that are just you don't think about. That I mean, 99% of the time, maybe it's not a problem, but that 1% of the time, when I go for a walk with my daughter and I can't get down the sidewalk, and now we have to go into traffic. I mean, those small things make a difference. So
And then hoping that when you go to the other side, hopefully that there is a curb cut because usually there's not. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
whole thing. I know, it's so frustrating. It's like the littlest thing is, like, literally, like, a foot or inches, like, make the world a difference, and even I find that too with, like, um, just out in the community. I know, delivery drivers have been really bad at blocking curb cuts and things, and, just the lack of ignorance, not knowing that, hey, that affects somebody who needs to use that curb cut, and you're stuck there waiting for them to move, and yeah, it is
Yeah.
super frustrating.
Taking up the accessible parking spots. Yeah. Yep.
people that run into when they used to return movies to Blockbuster, they like need to get it back in, so they just park there quick. I'm only going in a second. I'm like, yeah, but people that need that can't park then while you're doing this. I mean,
There are like
just
20
because
other
it takes a
spots that
second
you
doesn't
can
mean you still
take.
should try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still not right. Yep.
Still not
I
right. Yeah.
know. Ah,
Another thing that I don't know if you guys have come across this, where like we go to a doctor's appointment, they ask your name and birthday, and sometimes they still look at me and ask me what her name and birthday is, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
just because she's in a wheelchair doesn't mean that
My
she
mom
can't
still
talk or
just
can't
looks at
answer.
me
Yeah,
instead of answering them. She still just like turns her head and looks at me. Yeah.
yeah, it's super annoying that people think that we're obviously some people can't always speak for themselves, but when you can, it's like, yeah, I know me and Avery just the other day were saying like, when we're at a restaurant, the waiter will be like, well, what is she having? And like we can't speak for us or can't say our order for us. And that's just it's really degrading, um
Dehumanizing.
Yeah, it's hurtful, so people don't realize just those little actions really do matter and can mean a lot of, ruining the night or ruining the evening, like, "Really? I'm having to do this again?" Like, yeah, it's just all those little things.
yeah, that is true. I have not had that happen to us, but I've heard other people. I have a friend who has cerebral palsy, and he can walk, and has that done to him, and yeah, lots of people. It happens way too often, unfortunately. How did you guys? So you guys, how did you guys both kind of get into the advocacy piece? Just kind of came naturally, just through life and trying to advocate for yourself, or how did you guys get into it?
Yeah, I think we both were just tired of all of these frustrations and, wanted to make an impact and make a change, and, yeah, as Amy had mentioned, we've been advocates our whole lives, right? Fighting for ramps, fighting for access, fighting to be in that classroom, like, we really have, and so yeah, it was kinda natural, for me, I was a little more shy growing up, so I really didn't hone in on my voice until till later in life and really realize how powerful the voice really is and telling our stories, what they really do. Um, so yeah, it was definitely a natural progression, I would say. But I know Avery's been at it for quite a bit and has a more lengthy experience in that realm.
No, I think it's, like, natural, and I think what I always say is, like, you're advocating and even if you don't realize it, and so, kinda like I said, like, I think we've been advocating our whole lives, like, you kinda have to living with a disability, but I got into legislative advocacy, uh 6 years ago now, I think, and it completely changed my life. Like, I am so passionate about it now, and I think we I've definitely just seen that if we wanna see change, we need to raise our voices, but also humanize it for the people who can make the change, like the lawmakers and who have the powers that be, and so I think, um, just being able to join a meeting where we can talk to our members of Congress and their offices. It's really important, and I would say essential to connect, our daily experiences to public policy. And so, um, ever since then, I've just been so passionate about it, trying to get everybody involved, as Kelly knows. And I think there's power in numbers, and so just even if you don't wanna speak or whatever, it's important just to show up, as a collective, and, there are multiple different ways that you can advocate, whether it's on social media, whether it's, meeting with your members of Congress. Sometimes there are protests. I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not a huge protester, that's never been me. I know, Kelly, you've been to some, like, I think that we all can kind of find our ways that we're comfortable with, participating in advocacy, big or small.
Yeah, I love that. So have you been to like Washington DC, either one of you guys? Have or policy making and stuff?
Yeah, we have, both virtually and then also in person. Um, yeah, it's pretty life-changing, like Avery said, to really be in those rooms with those people in power and just feel that energy are really, um, unless you're speaking, like, not unless you're sharing your story, like, things aren't gonna change. So, like, we need to continue to keep up that authentic storytelling to really, um, put a face to disability and rare disease in general. To, a better, more inclusive future. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I've been sharing is, I mean, like I said, I live in Minnesota, and I mean, if you're watching any news recently, Minnesota's been on the news a lot with fraud and Medicaid and lots of things. And one of our story I've been sharing more recently is, I mean, my daughter's on Medicaid and she's on a waiver, which allows her to live at home. So I mean, I've been trying to explain, like, hey, Medicaid does pay for that, and without that, she would not be living at home. So I mean, it's important. But some people, I think, they hear Medicaid and hear the narrative. It's all these people that shouldn't be on it, blah blah blah, and they're using the money and fraud in the system. It's like, okay, but your granddaughter, your cousin, your person that lives in this neighborhood with you, she's living in that house because of this money. So it's not everybody. It shouldn't be fraud. I don't agree with fraud. We shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. But like you said, we need to put, faces with these stories and with these words so people do understand like how it does affect people for real.
Yeah, really humanize it. And I think the systems like Medicaid, like, Social Security, Kelly, are both on it, so completely hear you there. I think they're so often set us up to fail. And I think also just there are people who have ruined it for the rest of us, and so the the hoops that we have to jump through and the fighting, and it's I just went through it, Kelly knows, and so I think, um, yeah, we have seen it on the news, and I'm so sorry that it's going on over there, and I think, we all, whether you live in Minnesota or, wherever you are, it's really important that we kind of put faces, but also just experiences. Like, this is what I've been through. This is what, Medicaid enables us to do. And this is what the waiver enables us to do. And because, like you said, like, if you're not disabled today, you could be tomorrow. And so, even if it doesn't affect you today, it could tomorrow. And I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think there's just such a disconnect with what people think, like, oh, Medicaid, oh, poor or fraud or this or that. And, we are everyday people that this is, helping. And without this, like, we can't live. We can't get out of bed. We can't do these things. So, yeah, I think that it's just really a strong disconnect of people don't have the full story or the full information. And therefore, they think XYZ. And that's just not right. It's wrong. So,
There's stuff where they're gonna require people on Social Security in some places to have to come in person. Okay, well, that might sound like not that big of a deal, but for like families like ours where my daughter's on Social Security, you need to get there. I mean, sometimes it's super hard to get her out of the house, or you got all these extra things you have to get ready to go there, and sit there for hours and stuff. So it makes it so much more accessible, so much easier to do it over the phone. So if you take that away, like all these people who now you've just made it more hoops, much harder for them to access those benefits that they need to live. So even simple things like that are people need to understand like how that's going to affect people.
Yeah, absolutely. Need and deserve, really.
it's super exclusionary to not, and it's such a basic thing. Like people don't realize, what it takes for us to get somewhere too, for you to get A to B and all the planning, yeah, it's a whole thing. And yeah, it's frustrating to keep having to defend yourself and explain that to people to get them to understand.
And I mean, my daughter, she likes going to concerts, so we go to last big one I went to was the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert up at the Vikings football stadium.
I love it.
Nice.
So she loves them, but my girlfriend and I also go to them. So we just, if my girlfriend and I go, it's like you buy the two tickets next to each other, you show up, you walk in. Well, if my daughter's going, I call ahead of time to make sure, to buy the tickets because some places they sell like the companion one with it, some place they don't. Then you have the bag policies. Well, she has stuff we have to bring with. I'm like, okay, so how do I get this stuff in there? I don't want to get to the gate and they're like, no, you can't bring that in there. I'll be like, well, that's her rescue meds for her epilepsy, so she can't come in then so I try to do all this stuff ahead of time and there's just so many more steps
You
for me
try.
to
Yeah.
bring her to the
Yes,
concert than just us. And I mean, that's just that example. It's just crazy how much more stuff there is and how much more time's involved.
Kelly and
absolutely.
I are
Yeah.
huge concert goers. We know
Yeah.
the struggle. Right,
Yeah,
Kelly?
just getting the tickets, first of all, sometimes there's, like, limits on you can only have, 1 wheelchair, 1 companion. It's like, what if you have more friends? What if you have more this? Um, it's like, what entrance is accessible? Is there a family restroom? Is there an elevator? Where's the accessible parking? Yeah, the time and effort into actually the pre-planning, as I like to call it, before getting there, and then when you get there, you show up and it's like things are different. That road's blocked. Oh, nope, can't park there. Oh no, that entrance is blocked. Like the elevator's not working. And there's so many variables, and it's just so much for us to get to enjoy that same experience. Um, and I wish it was easier. Like I feel that I'm with you. It's a lot. It's a lot. Um, I'm thankful that we can at least still have those experiences. But yeah, it does take way more effort and exhaustion just to get to that point for sure.
Yeah, my daughter wanted to go to a Brandon Lake concert, so I was looking into tickets and well, by the time I checked, there was just, I couldn't get, there's only like one like, handicap accessible or one ADA seat left. And so I called, is there a companion? Yes. I'm like, well, then there's also me coming with, like, is there anything, can I buy another one to stand there? And they're like, no, you just buy a ticket anywhere else in the stadium. And then that night you can stand by. I'm like, okay, you're on the phone right now, like months ahead of time. Is this going to be okay with the guy who's getting paid minimum wage to
Yes.
stand there at that night? Because if it's I mean, can you give me something that says this is okay? I can show them because I do not want to buy a ticket across the stadium and then they're not going to allow me to be by my daughter and
Exactly.
girlfriend. So it's like,
Preach.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
I feel like it also depends on the venue, but also
yeah,
the artist as well. Like Kelly,
okay.
like, didn't it happen with Haley Williams, like that like it was her herself who like or maybe it was someone else, like who vouched for you guys? Who am I thinking of?
I don't know what instance you're thinking of.
Maybe it's somebody else.
I I don't know. But yeah, I've had to do, like, seat reassignments too, where it's like, all the ADA, some people grab those up first, not knowing that those are the only spots that we can have, and then you gotta show up to the venue and do a whole seat assignment, which means you have to go to guest services, wait for them, radio, pray on a new ticket, walk you to there. It's like, yeah, a all the hoops just to get there, just to get to the spot.
It's actually what happened at the Post Malone Gyro concert. Well, it was crazy because it's a huge football stadium, so it's just massive anyway, and then tons of people, and the
Yeah,
elevators, like, they weren't well, like, marked, like, they didn't want people to know where they were, so people that weren't using them. It was weird, and then you get in the elevator, there's somebody on there to help you, but they had no idea how to get to our seat. I'm like, "Well, you don't know how to get there either. That's why I'm asking you how to get us where do I have to go?" We get there, and there are people it was full, like, the ADA section, because Ticketmaster had sold another section which they weren't supposed to, so they kicked
and
all
they
of them
put them
out of
there.
there. They kicked them out of that one over to ours. I'm like, "I don't care. As long as my daughter has a place to park, like, and she's happy and listening, that's all I'm here for." Like, that's so she was, and I was like, "Okay, fine. Just drop it. She's fine. She's listening. She's singing, having fun." That was like, so yeah, that happened, and they were upset. And I'm like, "You guys paid a lot of money. Yeah, you should be upset. You could be upset, but like, enjoy the music. Like, don't let it
Yeah.
ruin the whole day." But it's hard not to sometimes, I guess. But yeah,
For sure. Yeah, I always think signage could be more clear. I'm actually going to a concert there this week, and the place that I go to, that there's a parking garage underneath it. So like you have to go up this like weird elevator, then you go to another elevator to get it. It's way harder than it should be, but there's no signage that tells you what to do, and it took me so long to figure out the route that I needed when I'm just like, how is this like? Why are we still here? Make it even more challenging, and yeah,
yeah,
it's super frustrating. I think signs could definitely make our experience a little bit easier. And then yeah, no, like you said, nobody knows. The staff is not always educated on them, like, "How do you not know the seating map by
yeah,
now? That's your job."
yeah, for sure. So yeah, you guys want to talk about your podcast? I know you guys have a podcast too, I think. So you want to talk about your podcast?
Sure, yeah, Avery, you can go.
Yeah. So, we are the co-hosts of We'll Talk with Kelly and Avery. And yeah, we started the podcast in honor of September being Muscular Dystrophy Awareness Month. So we launched it last September, which is crazy to think that we're 6 months in already. And yeah, we just kind of felt like that there are such conversations that are at the forefront of those living with, whatever rare diseases, neuromuscular diseases, disabilities that are at the forefront of the minds living with, all of that, but also that are just so overlooked. And um so we wanted to kind of give a platform for that. We wanted to also give a platform to amplify the voices in our community. And also kind of Kelly and I, didn't have this sort of thing growing up. And so we felt like if there's, a young Kelly, a young Avery who, will eventually come across this, like that means everything to us. And so being able to kind of hear the feedback from young families, from parents, kind of being able to see how much Kelly and I are thriving and just the lives you know, that we lead, and hope to lead. That's, what is so rewarding and makes our hearts so full. And also just kind of able to give a little Avery and Kelly spin to it all. Kelly and I love laughing. We love humor. We love to, you kind of have to living this life, find the humor in it all. And so, we, do solo episodes where it's just Kelly and I talking between each other. We have guests on sometimes. We have some serious conversations and some not so serious conversations. And so, yeah, we just kind of have it all. Um, and yeah, Kelly, did I mess anything?
You hit it pretty well, yeah. Just like to have
Yeah,
fun and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
because
great.
we feel like there's not enough of us. And like we said, our stories just have more stories out there, so, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you?
Yeah, you can, my personal is everything's at the Kelly Berger on all the socials, and our Wheel Talk, podcast is at the Wheel Talk Podcast on all the things, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You just search it, it's there. Mhm.
And my personal is on pretty much every platform, is either Avery Nicole or Avery Roberts. Um, but yeah, Kelly said all the Wheel Talk stuff, and I'm sure you could find our stuff off of that. But yeah, we love connecting with other people in the community. We love sharing, our stories and yeah, so please don't hesitate to reach out.
So you guys ready for the last question?
Oh yeah, hit us.
Oh, yes.
Are you? Okay, I'm gonna need each of you guys to answer, but are you ready? Do you guys like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
Um, I'm gonna say no.
Same. Sorry.
It's fine. I live near Austin, Minnesota, where they make spam and where the spam museum is located. So I've been asking every guest just to see what the reaction is.
That's
It's
so
usually
cool,
pretty
you
yes, usually pretty fast, yes or no. So it's kind of fun.
That's so
Wow,
awesome.
there's a museum? Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah. So Austin is where Hormel is located, where the who makes spam, and then is a spam museum, and the town is about 25,000, and like over 100,000 people a year come to the museums.
Aw,
Whoa.
gotta check it
Okay.
out.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is really cool. We've been there a couple of times. You walk in, there's somebody with you can have a spample, so it's like a tray with like a little chunk of
Oh, I
spam
love
on it you can try. There's lots of different
So
flavors. It's a lot of history stuff about spam, and like it was big in like the world wars and stuff and different things, and it's kind of interesting. It's a fun place to go.
I love it.
I feel like you should get sponsored from them for the
Yes.
promo that you're getting.
Can we
You should
manifest
seek that
that?
out.
I should try, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yes. Free spam
Yeah,
for life.
free spam for life. I mean, I do eat it maybe twice a year, fry it up and have it like with pancakes or something. I mean, I don't eat a lot, but I do once in a while have it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the same can I've been having for like 2 years in this, and it's still good for another year, so it lasts a while too. So
Yeah.
Yes, it is definitely shelf stable.
yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys
Love
for being
it.
on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having
It
us.
was
It was a
super
fun
fun.
chat.
To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.